back into, and I've jumped back into it a few times.
Yeah.
There's an interesting thing here that I'm really kind of fascinated about, right? And I'd love to get your opinion on it. And it's that idea, going back to the simulation thing, like, I mean, if you talk to the top, I haven't spoken to them, but the last calculation I seen was that there's about 20% chance that we do live in a simulation, right? So that's actually a fact. If they crunch the numbers, go figure, right? But which I kind of freaks me out a bit. But if you look at that trick, right? Here's where I think it gets interesting, right? If you look at that trick that it does, okay, so it does trick you, right? So I've looked at some of the studies and the psychological reports of how you trick you, and I'm quite interested in spatial video. When I say spatial video, I'm talking about VR 180, not 360, VR spatial video. And you see with the Apple, whatever, Vision Pro, they're kind of, they're quite, two cameras came out last week, another Canon lens and the big red. We use the Canon VR EOS system. So we love that system. But the trick I think it does is that it messes with your brain. So subconsciously, if you have an experience there, subconsciously, your subconscious can't tell the difference between it being a real experience or being a a simulate, not a simulation, but an experience that you had in with a headset on, essentially, right? So I think that's really interesting. We're working on our next VR courses, and they're around unconscious bias. So, where people are basically maybe a little bit racist and they don't know it, right? Or they're a bit prejudiced, or they don't know what it's like to maybe have some challenges physically. And I know you've done a huge amount of work in the healthcare and VR. So we're really interested in that space of kind of walk in someone else's shoes for a little bit, have them have that first person experience, and maybe they come out of it as a better person. And I think it's really interesting. So we're working with some filmmakers to create that content, and we're trying to really manipulate the medium to kind of trick you to have that kind of experience and not be obvious. But I'd love to get your opinion on how you see, what you think of that and its potential uses in healthcare, and then for positives, right? That those tricks you can do.